History tells us wars begin with armies. That's a lie. This war began with pride, with fear, and with leaders who believed consequences were for someone else. One shot was fired, but it didn't kill one man. It dragged the entire world into fire.
Europe breathed in quiet, unaware of the storm looming beyond its borders. A fragile peace poised on the edge of oblivion. Villages slept under the golden light, the innocence of fields hiding the shadow of war creeping closer every day. Newspapers screamed caution, diplomats whispered anxieties, but the powers above looked away, blind to the gathering tempest. Kings and emperors, seated in opulent halls, measured prestige over prudence, each decision nudging the world toward catastrophe. Flags waved in fervor, crowds cheered blindly, and the fire of nationalism spread like tinder across the continent. Over distant cities, clouds swelled heavy and dark, a warning written in shadow, yet few dared to notice. Borders blurred, alliances tangled, and Europe trembled beneath the weight of unseen chains, pulling nations toward war. The streets of Sarajevo thrummed with life, oblivious to the hand that would strike the spark of global devastation. Franz Ferdinand rode in grandeur, smiling at the crowd, unaware of death riding silently beside him. A calm so thick it felt alive, pressed against the city streets like the still breath before a scream.
Among the crowd, eyes cold and focused, a hand tightened on destiny, poised to change the course of history forever. A gunshot shattered the morning, panic erupted, and innocence was ripped violently from the world. Metal spat fire, echoing across the cobblestones, a single moment igniting a century of sorrow. Faces froze in disbelief, the air thickened with fear as the weight of the coming storm pressed down on every soul.
Vienna struck first, a ripple of fury spreading across the continent like wildfire in dry grass. Defiance met aggression, a single act turned whispers into declarations and warnings into inevitability.
From the east, armies stirred, their shadows stretching across lands unprepared for the scale of what was coming. Iron and fire moved westward, borders trembling as military might collided with fragile diplomacy. In Paris, the drumbeat of war echoed through the streets, a grim answer to the continent's swelling tension. Across the seas, fleets surged, red banners flaring against the grey as old rivalries ignited anew. Lines crisscrossed the map like a web of doom, every move pulling nations into the inexorable grip of conflict. One push, one assassination, and the dominoes began to fall, empires tumbling, centuries of pride shattered in moments. Trenches stretched like wounds across the earth, mud swallowing men whole as the world above forgot their suffering. Eyes hollow, bodies trembling, soldiers endured horrors too great for words. Despair was etched into every face. Rats scuttled through filth, indifferent to blood and sorrow, survivors trapped in a landscape of decay. Faces stared into the void, haunted by the echoes of death, the ground beneath a frozen grave of hope. Explosions pierced the night, shadows danced violently, and the darkness swallowed screams with cruel appetite. Up ladders they climbed, each step a gamble with mortality, reaching for a horizon that offered no salvation. Bullets rained, a ceaseless chorus of death, ripping through earth, wood, and flesh without remorse. Bodies lay entwined with mud, the battlefield silent, but for the whispers of ghosts unwilling to rest. Cannons roared, shaking the heavens, metal and fire transforming landscapes into nightmares. Green mists rolled forward, invisible terror creeping across no man's land, suffocating life and hope alike. Eyes behind masks reflected horror, a silent scream trapped behind glass and iron. Craters tore the earth asunder, debris frozen mid-flight, landscapes ravaged beyond recognition. Beneath cold waters, steel leviathans surfaced, heralding new forms of mechanized death. Forges belched fire and smoke, machines grinding endlessly, feeding the insatiable hunger of war. Gears, rifles, and shells collided in chaotic symphony, the industrial heartbeat of slaughter. Smoke, fire, and screams merged into a tableau of destruction, every second a testament to human folly.
Palaces cracked, kings trembled, and centuries of power collapsed under the weight of their failures. Stone figures fell, monuments to arrogance shattered, a testament to fleeting glory. Flags lay in mud, torn and bleeding, symbols of empires reduced to memory. Crowds moved in silence, carrying only what they could, each step a journey through sorrow. Chairs stood vacant, halls echoing, shadows of leaders who would never return. Maps lay broken, lines drawn in haste and anger, nations redefined in sorrow and defeat, crosses stretched into mist, marking sacrifices the world had promised to forget.
This is the only path forward, gentlemen. We must sign the treaty.
Mirrors reflected power, yet beneath the grandeur, shame and resentment festered like a poison. Heads bowed, pride shattered. Leaders confronted the weight of decisions they could not undo. Documents torn and ink smeared. The pen's promise broken before history could forgive. Crowds watched silently, absorbing defeat as an inheritance they had never wanted. Cities smoldered, industries silent, a continent's wealth devoured by the hunger of war. Graves stretched endlessly, fog heavy over those who had no one left to weep for them.
In the shadows, whispers plotted revenge, the seeds of another conflict quietly taking root. Borders shattered, nations bleeding, the continent lingered on the knife edge of future horrors. Shadows rallied, voices hardened, as extremism gathered strength from the ashes of defeat. Factories churned, armies grew, and the restless hands of men prepared for war once more.
Statues crumbled, fields lay empty, and the world forgot the souls who had bled for peace.
Time stood frozen on that fatal hour, yet the echoes of its tick reverberated through generations. Dark clouds gathered again, looming over Europe with promise of horrors yet to come.
Families mourned, villages desolate, and sorrow etched itself into the heart of history. A broken sword buried in mud whispered a single truth: mankind must remember or suffer again.